Big Z Reviews. Hi, my name's Brandon Zarzyczny, but you can call me Big Z, and today I'm doing a book review for He Who Fights with Monsters by Shirtaloon, or Travis Deverell. And this was actually recommended to me when by a commenter when I did a review for Carl's Doomsday Scenario, or they all the Carl books, and that's like, a lit RPG book, idea that like where it's like a video game, like things inside literature inside of a book, inside of a different universe. And this one is definitely, this is that. It's also an isekai. It's like a portal world fantasy. Like all isekai, whatever you want to call them, they're all just portal world fantasies, where someone is transferred and transported to another world with magic, and they live a magical life in the other world. And then this one what makes it a lit RPG is that something that to like help him, like this world has outworlders. This happens. He's not the lone one, but like he's kind of special because something like he's like part of he loves video games, so that like something to help him progress, like one of his skills he gets is seeing the world as a video game, and he gets quests, and he gets like the descriptions of everything, and just lit RPG shenanigans. And it's funny, this is like an 11 book series. Like I read them all on the Kindle, but I think it started out as like a weekly or monthly like online web series, and it's been going on for like years. It's kind of funny, like it made it like at one point it was like it's even one of the newer books. Like even it still was said like it's published like 2022, but it was like talking about like Trump in power. There's like a random comment about it, and that so it's like, and it's stuff about Obama a little bit too. So it's like before that. So it's like you see that when this was taking place, when it was being written, and it's funny. It's if I like were to talk to you about the book at different periods, like I would have vastly different reactions to it, because at certain points in this story, I absolutely loved it. And in other parts, I was kind of like, it's kind of dragging a little. Like, move on. And it's kind of interesting because you have so many people, like authors, that have problems, especially fantasy authors that have problems, writing in a series, writing a new book when it gets popular and everyone's talking about it, and they might impact like how you write the characters. But like, what happens when you have commenters on like every chapter? How would that affect what you write? Of course, but for me, I'm just reading it like as a book, and I think sometimes there is no beginning, middle, and end to these books. It seems like that, like usually like every 3 books seems like it's kind of like an arc that is doing that, like they seem to be collecting in, but they go in on certain sections, but the idea in this one is the main character is Jason Asano, and he is like a half Japanese, half Australian young man who is just like he's just like a middle manager at an office supply store, but then his apartment apparently is blown up, and he's like teleported into this parallel universe with this world has magic. And it's pretty fun, but like when he first gets in this, like he's stuck in like he's this cannibal cult that was doing some ritual that was supposed to bring in this some like big creature that's for their plans, but like it somehow got stuck and instead brought in Jason Asano. And like his first thing, like he doesn't want to kill anyone, but he has to survive, and like he's getting missions like telling them that survive this battle or like kill this thing, and you get like, and then he gets these, like, each one, like there's like these different, like you get these like stones that give you the powers, and like you get like different combinations of it will give you different abilities. and then you take different awakening stones, which give you further abilities, and you get this whole like power structure. And he has like Jason Asano, like it's just because he has to survive while there's this blood cult and all these bad guys going around. He's trying to get some sort of magical powers while he's fighting them, and he has to save this group of adventurers that were like kidnapped and are planned to be sacrificed for whatever evil plan this cannibal blood cult has. Like he needs to get some powers as quick as he can and absorb some of these awakening stones, and that they're like he's like blood and sin and doom. So then and then he gets familiars, and he gets familiars from each of those essences, which is like Shade, which is like this like shadow butler. Like he can like step into the shadows and like shadow jump and stuff, and he's like a companion to. And then Colin, which is like with like this leech, like this and that's supposed to be like the end of the world, which is what the blood cult was trying to summon, but because they ended up being his familiar, and then there's Gordon, which is like this like again this like apocalypse beast sort of thing, like his giant eye and like a cape, and of course his powers like he has this dark cape, and he's evil. Like I know I think he called it like Etchy or something like that. No, I can't remember what None. He keeps saying like, "Oh, I'm doing that again." And like whenever that's one thing with Kindle, like he definitely is that Australian slang or his different stuff, and he's like definitely. I think he's more Gen X, the author, because like it definitely there's a lot of references. Like even the whole idea is that he constantly referencing stuff from the real world to these characters in this fantasy world, and they have like, are we supposed to know what he's talking about? And then like sometimes like, oh, I don't even know what he's talking about. Well, why are you looking at me? But like but at the same time it's just really fun and funny. Like there's honestly this book can be very funny, and there's some great characters. Like like in this other world he builds like a whole party of people and I love party building in the RPG game. That's one of my favorite parts of it. So that like he builds a really fun crew, like he goes on adventures, and that's like the first like 3 books are my favorite. That's what I was like. I mean, not quite 10 out of 10, but like 9 out of 10. Like I was with it, and it was funny. Like I'm the certain amount of books, like I don't even some of my favorite authors, I don't do this, like, but there's some authors like when I read, like I can't put the book down. Like even like some authors, like when I read instead of sleep. Like I keep reading into the night instead of sleeping. Like I lose sleep because of a book. Like I probably only count the authors that do that like on one hand. That's like Patrick Rothfuss, Scott Lynch, George R. R. Martin, J.K. Rowling, and Robin Hobb. Like those are my favorite authors, and there's also like the authors that when I'm reading, like I can't help myself sometimes, especially if it's a newer book. Even sometimes when I reread them, like I have to see what's going to happen. Like they're written so well, or something about them, they're so addictive. But they're different. Authors are completely different. But there's something about them that I just have to keep reading, and onto that list I now have to include Shirtaloon, and it's like, but at the same time, like the writing isn't anything amazing, but it's very readable. Although I will say, again, like this was a web series, and then is put together into books for Kindle, but like for whatever reason, like maybe it didn't have the money for proofreaders and editors at the beginning. But like the first 2 books especially, and maybe the third book a little bit, they're the best books I think of the whole series, but they're also the worst grammatically and with like spell check errors. And it's kind of like it was enough that it would break my flow sometimes when there's like double words or like misspelled words or like random stuff like that. And it's unfortunate. I think there was some way that you could go back. I'm not sure how it works with Amazon. if you could upload like a new version of the book, like without like and it would update everyone that has it. But like it's not like the best look to when you're reading the first book of a series to have a lot of errors, especially like with the later books. There aren't any. You know, they're really like they must have had enough money to hire an editor or had enough or hire some or like gave it to fans, gave it to beta readers, you know. But like it's like the book's a lot of fun. Like I said, especially the first three. Like I hope like he has a lot of it is when he's building his power set, when he's building his party of friends and his team. Like I love that shit, and there's some also really great villains that he has to fight and some great things, and I think that like after the third book, like it goes into this whole new thing where he like that's like a Portal fantasy book, the series with with RPG lit aspects. But then after the third book, he goes back to Earth, back to like the regular world, and it becomes like an urban fantasy because like it would seem that Earth is gonna be normal, but then you realize that there's actually like different like three different factions on Earth that all have magic, and magic is much more limited on Earth, but like it comes if in the form of dungeons essentially, like portals that that you have to go in to prevent a dungeon break. Definitely a lot like Solo Leveling. Like I don't know how like it does sometimes it's a lot like Solo Leveling, but I think it's not like a copy of it. But definitely, I'm sure he was a fan, you know. But and there's this whole thing he has to be with his family and introduce, and he does doing the whole thing. And he has magic now, and he can heal people, and he can do all sorts of stuff. But like the world's not ready. But then now he has to save the world because of what the builder did, like when they created these two universes and linked them together. But like to have like a weird experiment of having one with magic and one without magic, and something is going wrong with it. So he has to save the galaxy. So there's a lot of fun stuff, and it's too like it's completely different. So it kind of like revitalized me and into continuing reading. But I was like after the third book, I was like, I might put this away and read something else. But then having something completely new, it was like almost like a new book. Well, I still had Jason Asano, and I think it's so funny. Like he can be annoying, especially after this the second arc. Like once like I had a lot of fun with doing the urban fantasy thing, but when at the end I think the worst part of it is again it might be because he has people reading and constantly commenting on stuff, and he has plans to do things, and he's like yes I want to get back to the other world. You'd be like it felt like at a certain point he was starting to do world building in this world, like not world building, team building, and but then then a bunch of people die, and it's like with one like a gold level American is destroys his team, and it's like okay that sucks, and then he's just alone and he has to do a lot of these things in this new the dimension where he has to repair the tears in the space and time or whatever that's happening that might destroy the galaxy. He has to repair them, and he's kind of his video game sense or whatever makes it into this online role playing game where each person there has sections, and they have to conquer each section to bring it together and to bring reality back together. And that it's just that I think the story is I like Jason Asano a lot. Especially I love when he's just adventuring and just exploring the world. I guess my favorite moments are when he's just exploring stuff. I love that he is a foodie, so he loves just going into a new town and trying their food, and I love those moments. But then so many times he has to be too serious, and this is especially after this 3-book arc when he goes back to the fantasy world, and then at that point it's he's damaged, and they spend a little bit too much time of him bitching and whining about stuff, and it's funny because it feels a lot of stuff, like the character of like, I just want to go on adventures, and he's like whining about it, and like every time they go on adventures, he gets pulled into some big like world destruction thing, and it's like, you are writing the book yourself. Like you could just do what you want to do. Like I really just wanted to have like a fun, like cozy adventure at times, but I feel like he constantly had to build it into this whole thing that, you know, to save the world. And I had a good time. Like I read all 11 books, and I had a really good time. Like this is my reading material for a couple months, and I love the idea of the slow progression. But like a thing like this could have a lot of power creep, where like you keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and it has that. But like I like that. Like yeah, they have different levels. They have like iron, like a normal. Then they have like iron, then bronze, then silver, then gold, then diamond. And at diamond, you're like immortal. And then after that, you can be like half transcendent, and then like you're transcendent. You're like a god. There's a lot of different things that you become like even further, and like I worry that like they were to go too quick through them, but at the same time, and instead it's almost like they've taken too long not progressing. It becomes a problem because like for most of the series they're still bronze and silver, and I like that, but I feel like they should be doing more bronze and silver missions. Have like easier like, and to like they're interacting with like gold and diamond villains, so that they could kill them with like a snap of their fingers. So it's like they have to have other. He has to bring in other gold and diamond characters, and it becomes like I just want to have a fun adventure, and it's becoming something else. But at the same time, like again, I enjoyed a lot of it, and they definitely say like Jason Asano could be annoying at times, but at the same time I like him. He's funny. Like sometimes it's definitely bordering on cringy at times, and I think I wish there was more. Like it's funny when you talk about authors, you always hear people talk about themselves, or people like talk about their writing as either they're pantsers or they're planners. So like when they write everything, like they're the authors that just plan meticulously every little thing out before they ever start writing. And I think some people they get off on that aspect, the world building and the planning, and the writing of the actual scene to scene stuff is like the chore of writing. And other people are pantsers. They fly by the seat of their pants. Like they might have a plan for where they're going, a little bit of a plan, but generally once they're writing and they're living in these characters' minds, the characters can take them to places they didn't expect. And I feel like Shirtaloon is a pantser, but like even worse, because if you're writing like monthly chapters or whatever, like he'll introduce things, and in the third book, and I'm still like, so you ever gonna deal with that like energy vampire thing with like the cool sword? And like at the end of the book, they have like each three books has like way too much time with like epilogues, but they're like things he wrote like in between their actual chapters to give him more time. So like you see like where characters are while other stuff's going on, and you'll see like one scene with that guy from like, oh yeah, he's still around doing stuff. And oh, okay. And then they introduce like something like when they go back to the other to the fantasy world, like the second time, like there's like some weird thing, and like a couple hundred Earthlings are brought over in some weird event, and like some of them like are people he knows and join the group, but then other people are just like they keep saying like some of the characters says, oh, so when are you gonna go to this area and talk to these people? And like, oh, eventually. And it's also this whole thing that they introduce things. He has this really cool like cloud castle thing, and like he like there's this person that made it. Like he's done stuff to it to make it something else, and like she's like a diamond person and wants to like examine what he's done to her creation. And they keep pushing it away, like, oh, we'll deal with it later, we'll deal with it later. And then it's like, well, that would be an interesting thing to do. It's just like constantly. And I feel like, too, all of the more cosmic things, like there are like these higher, like forces or gods or like beyond, like in this fantasy world there are a bunch of gods like for everything, but then they're further beyond, there are these bigger things like the god of like death in general, or like the phoenix, that like there's all sorts of different stuff, the builder. There are all these like things, and they're like different universes and worlds, that, and there's even the universe of all the Diamond Rakers go, and it's just like whenever they do that, I'm just like, I don't really care about that. And the whole thing that like Jason Asano, even though he's silver, he's becoming like, he's like half transcendent, like because he's on the way to becoming something else. And it's like, yeah, okay, this was fun, but I don't really care. I just want to have some fun, with the whole group, with this whole group of characters, with Humphrey Geller, Clive Standish, Sophie Wheeler, Belinda, Neil, Farah, Remus, Garrus, Taika, added later. Like, I want them just to go on adventures, and I like that they're a team and they're friends. Like, friends don't ask for favors. Well, there's some cool quote about how like he said that, that you're just a friend. You have to. I don't count favors for friends. And there's a lot of interesting quotes and writing. And definitely it's light. It's very readable, but it's definitely nothing like nothing that will like true high literature. But it's still really fun. And it's funny though. It's funny. I haven't read too much of the lit RPG, but I am kind of liking it. But at the same time, like when you get too much into the weeds with like all the descriptions of the different abilities, it's like it's bad enough when it's one person and they have a whole team and they get like new abilities and they have to like pages of like, oh, and then now the this and then this for bronze and then this for silver, so there's something different there, and you're reading and it's like, well, what did that really matter? Just say it, I got it. Especially when they start repeating stuff, like you just kind of skim it, like you don't even really need to read it. But it's like, it's still fun, and I like that how they explain it. That like that he has like he has some sort of weird ability to sense things, to sense like fate, and that like reared itself as this video game sense. So like it's just a way for him to like rationalize what his soul is feeling. I like a lot of the world building this does with how like the soul and how like all this stuff is like these awakening stones and these essences like affect the soul, and that like the soul is inviolable, and how like but you can like everyone has the potential to become diamond, but like almost no one will. Like there's a lot of really cool stuff with the magic and then what it does. It's just that like it gets lost in the weeds so much. Like I feel like it too, if me reading it in like a couple months time instead of reading it over a decade or whatever it took to put out serially, is part of the problem. But like I still really enjoyed it and I would recommend it. I don't know if I'd recommend the entire series. I definitely recommend the first 3 books. And like there's a lot here if you like the characters to continue. I think I definitely enjoyed it. And I would recommend it. I'd probably give like an 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. But thanks for watching. If you want to see more of me, you can subscribe down below. Thanks.